What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Sixers Digest YouTube channel. My name is Barnard, as always, and when you're beginning to approach the crunch time of NBA trade season, the first whispers and rumors of trades and what teams are expected to do heading in towards the deadline are beginning to leak out, and the Sixers are, of course, in the mix. They put themselves in a prime position to capitalize ahead of the trade deadline due to the trade of James Harden and the assets that they have acquired in the process, and we're beginning to see some indications of what they may be doing or some future plans. So in this video, I want to touch on some of the leaks that have come out, the rumors, primarily reported by Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype in this video, as well as a cool little special shout out that one young Sixers star did get. So let's dive right into it, and we'll begin with this report by Michael Scotto here, and this is in his recent kind of NBA roundup, and he writes, quote, Philadelphia has a boatload of expiring contracts that can be used to create cap space this upcoming summer or dangle as trade bait for teams looking to make a salary dump. Teams have expressed exploratory interest in forward KJ Martin, who will be an unrestricted free agent in July, league sources told Hoops Hype. Despite a limited role since joining the 76ers, rival teams are intrigued after he averaged 12.7 points and 5.5 rebounds for the Rockets and played all 82 games last season. Fon Corkum is also a trade candidate if the 76ers want to avoid the luxury tax and move his $5.37 million salary to a team with cap space. So as you can see there, a little bit of interest. I want to start by talking about the KJ Martin piece here. We know that Martin was a piece that came over in the James Harden trade, a little bit of a young piece that was appealing to attach to that. The primary pieces of that trade were still the draft picks that they got, and then Robert Covington, Nicholas Batum, and Marcus Morris have all played some really solid minutes for the Sixers to start. They're all guys that I think have the potential to be repackaged in another trade, but I'm honestly pretty content with having them in the rotation, and I've really liked what I've seen, particularly from Nicholas Batum. Has been an awesome connective piece between Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and the rest of the starting lineup. Robert Covington, I also think, has not gotten the shine that he has deserved since coming here. Some of the best hands in the league on defense as far as getting in passing lanes, causing steals, all these things, and still knocking down three-pointers at a high rate. The second highest leading scorer as far as three-point mix goes in 76ers franchise history, and he's made it clear he's gunning for that top spot. So I'm rooting for Rocco. It is good to have him back. And then Marcus Morris, a guy that I've been very critical of, is starting to show some signs of life, that he looks like he's coming into form, finding himself, and he is a guy who can score and get buckets in a hurry when he is playing his best ball. So not guys that I am in a rush to move, but definitely on the table depending on what pops up at the deadline. But KJ Martin is a guy that I think is more likely to be moved. And I'll start with that it's very difficult for a young player on a contending team. That this isn't like a situation like the Rockets where he started his career, where he was able to play through his mistakes, have the freedom on the court. That every game these Sixers are looking to win. They're looking to contend for a championship this year. They have the MVP of the league. They have Tyrese Maxey, a young star who has taken that next step. So there isn't much time to give guys to go through their growing pains. And to look specifically at what he's done for the Sixers, as you can see, some very limited minutes. He is coming off the most minutes that we've seen in that most recent loss to the New Orleans Pelicans. Played nearly 17 minutes in that matchup. And just looking at his stats here with 4 points in this game, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. Was active. We saw the athleticism. He is kind of what we expected him to be, that he's a nice splash of athleticism. I like the way that they used him in the dunker spot. He had a really nice tap in that was unfortunately called back for offensive basket interference, which was the wrong call at the time. It was not sitting on the rim, so it was nice of KJ Martin to show the instincts, be in the spot. Still a little unconfident as far as a shooter, and this is a situation where I think he would benefit being on a little bit of a lower stakes team. And as I always talk about during these trade discussions, is the contract is a key part. And as Michael Scotto touched on in that original article, KJ Martin is set to be a free agent this offseason. So what that means to me is that if the Sixers do not believe they have a strong chance at re-signing him, if he's not feeling the love in Philadelphia or wants to go to a situation where he's going to have the more freedom to play through his opportunities, it does make sense for him to move on. And then from the Sixers side of things, that it makes sense to get something for him rather than let him walk for free. Getting a second-round pick or even a late first-round pick in exchange for a guy who still has a ton of promise for his long-term career. He is a guy who I do believe will be a rotational player for the future of his NBA career. Not a guy that I am down on as far as talent. I just think as far as timeline and opportunity, it's not quite the match for the Sixers. So it would not surprise me if I do see him moved on again heading into the year. And I will be rooting for KJ if that happens. So that is something to keep in mind. And the final part that was touched on in this specific report here, you can see Fon Corkum is also a trade candidate if the 76ers want to avoid the luxury tax and move his $5.37 million salary to a team with cap space. Now, we've begun to see a little bit of the Furkan Korkmaz resurgence. He has gotten much more opportunity to start this year than was the case last year under Doc Rivers, and he has played well in his minutes. That we've seen a little bit of signs of playmaking from him, some confidence on the ball, creating with Joel Embiid, still having some chemistry there. It's still shooting the ball at a fairly high rate. It's still not something where I believe on a night-to-night basis he's going to get consistent minutes. Furkan Korkmaz has requested a trade 3 separate times from the Sixers in past years. So it's something that I honestly, if Furkan wants out, let him get the freedom to get the opportunity to play elsewhere as well. I do kind of respect his mindset of he continues to come into work, continues to grind, but he just wants to play basketball, man. That's his goal. That this isn't a situation like a James Harden trade request or a Ben Simmons trade request where they're holding them at, strangling them and forcing the outcome. That Furkan Korkmaz, he's just here for the vibes. He's still along for the ride, and he just wants to hoop, and I can respect that for sure. Now, to switch gears a little bit, I do want to talk about a bigger picture and a guy that is in no way in the future for moving on for the Sixers. Tyrese Maxey has exceeded all expectations, and it is now beyond just Sixers personnel, Sixers media, Sixers fans taking notice of this, that we're seeing everyone around the NBA take notice. He's become a national storyline, and perhaps there is no bigger stamp of approval than LeBron James when he comes to town. So we know that the Sixers took down the Lakers, handed LeBron James the biggest loss of his NBA career, his 21-year NBA career, took care of business, the Sixers did. And then after the game, Tyrese Maxey was asked a little bit about LeBron, and he shared a cool story talking about that when they were training out in L.A. under Chris Johnson's hoops in that training facility, that he showed up. I believe the workout was supposed to start at 6 a.m. Maxey got there a half hour early, and LeBron was already there drenched in sweat and just made the comments of, I can't let you beat me to the gym. I kind of know your mindset. So very cool. And then after the game, LeBron took to Instagram to give a little shout out of Maxey's telling the story and just said, love this kid, man. The work never lie, and that's why he's so damn good. And more importantly, he's a better person, which is insane. So very cool for Maxey to see that type of stamp of approval, that type of recognition. We're talking about LeBron James, that regardless of your feelings of LeBron as a whole, that is one of the best basketball players of all time. And for Tyrese Maxey to receive that recognition is very cool. And by the way, as we kind of spitball and talk about it, as the Sixers are in the hunt for that final piece, I'm just saying, LeBron James to Philadelphia, complete the process. There was a little bit of whispers about that a couple years ago when the Sixers were in their full star hunting era. It does feel like LeBron's a little frustrated in Los Angeles, that the strategy seemed to be when he came to the Lakers that the game plan was for him to pass the torch to Anthony Davis, for Anthony Davis to step up as that number one option, for LeBron to see a little bit of a reduction in his production and just take a step back as far as things go on a night-to-night basis. And that really has not come to fruition, that Anthony Davis has not proven consistently enough capable of taking that torch and delivering for the team. And it's really telling that how much LeBron still has to do on a night-to-night basis for the Lakers team. Even at his age, even in year 21, he's still by far the best player on that team and one of the best players in the world, which is a testament to the work that he puts in, the way that he takes care of his body, but also a little insulting for what the Lakers have been able to put around him and just the ineffectiveness of the roster construction. So if Anthony Davis is not able to accept the torch he wants to pass, maybe Tyrese Maxey is, man. And we know that it's a little funny to me because we think back to the Ben Simmons era and how there was that strong relationship between Ben Simmons and LeBron James. Now we're seeing Tyrese Maxey take kind of a similar relationship or a similar outlook, except the difference being that Tyrese Maxey does put the work in, that he is getting better at such a rapid rate, and from a personality standpoint, that he's just ready to run with it, that he is full focused on basketball, getting better every day, and as LeBron pointed out, that the work does not lie, and that is why Maxey is excelling here. So very cool to see that. It will be interesting to see. We know there's such a strong relationship between LeBron and obviously his son Bronny, that he's spoken openly about wanting to play with Bronny James, who was just cleared and began his return to play at USC. Shout out to Bronny. Happy that is the case and we get to see him back on the floor. No more health complications there. But that does bring into question that whatever team drafts Bronny James, will that be where LeBron James go? And if that is the case, could the Sixers take a swing on that? They now are in a position where they do have draft picks to play with thanks to the James Harden trade. So the Sixers are in a much better spot than they were a couple months ago. Besides the fact that they're playing great basketball and doing things at such a high level, they have all these options for how to continue improving as a team. And adding LeBron James, it's tough to make a bigger statement than that. Now, I don't think that is something serious or pressing. We do know that the Sixers have this grand plan of the cap space and the flexibility for this offseason. If anything is to happen with LeBron, it would absolutely wait till then. It's not something that I would put some money down or be guaranteeing right now, but I do think it would be a cool storyline and something to keep an eye on. So as the Sixers begin to star hunt once again, don't count out them shooting to at the very top for one of the best basketball players of all time. Or maybe it is something simple. Maybe it is just a KJ Martin dump, a Fon Corkum dump, and adding some players around the edges. For now, we will wait. Daryl Morey has a plan. He has made mostly the right decisions from throughout his time with the Sixers. I am confident he can strike. It does feel like the Sixers team is just a stone's throw away from entering the true championship contending conversation, and I do believe they can get there with the right moves. Let me know your thoughts in the comment, how open you would be to a LeBron James to Philadelphia reunion, if you would be upset by a KJ Martin trade, or anything else that kind of sparked your thoughts in this video. So thank you guys for watching. Don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I will talk with you next time right here on Sixers Digest.